All right, so get ready for a deep dive, folks, into a story that shows, well, sometimes truth really is stranger than fiction.
Yeah.
We're talking about Paul Hogan.
Right.
The man who went from, outback rigger to a global icon.
Yeah.
You probably know him as Crocodile Dundee.
Sure.
But trust me, there is a whole lot more to his story. We've got some excerpts here from a biographical piece.
Oh, wait.
It's called Paul Hogan, From Outback to Icon. And I think you'll be pretty surprised by what we find.
Well, one thing that stands out is how Hogan's story, it shows how you can stay true to yourself even when, the whole world is trying to change you.
Yeah, for sure.
He starts out in Lightning Ridge, this tiny outback town.
Right.
More known for, opal mining than movie stars.
Yeah, you don't exactly picture, the red carpets and the paparazzi when you think of Lightning Ridge.
Yeah, not really.
But this piece describes his childhood as, well, it was filled with resourcefulness. Even leaving school early to become a rigger on the Sydney Harbor Bridge.
Yeah.
That speaks volumes about his, unconventional path.
Yeah. It's not your typical Hollywood story, is it?
Not at all, but that's what makes it so compelling.
Exactly.
It's almost like all those, experiences working on the bridge with all those, everyday Aussies.
Right.
That shaped the down-to-earth persona that later resonated with audiences all over the world.
Worldwide, yeah.
And then comes, his big break, the New Faces talent show in 1971.
Yeah.
Now, he didn't win.
Right.
But it put him on the map and introduced the world to his comedic talents.
And that's when his partnership with John Cornell, his manager, and his best mate really took off.
Okay.
It's funny how some collaborations, they just click.
Yeah.
And this one was clearly a recipe for success.
Absolutely.
So then, boom, the Paul Hogan Show hits the scene.
Right.
It wasn't just funny. It was like, he had this uncanny ability to tap into, the Australian psyche.
Right.
Like he didn't just capture a cultural moment. He did something, more nuanced.
Yeah.
He combined this, emerging national pride with this self-deprecating humor.
Yeah.
So it made it relatable for Australian audiences.
Right.
But also charmed the rest of the world.
Yeah.
It was brilliant, really.
It's incredible how he went from these relatable Aussie characters to creating one of the most iconic movie characters, of all time, Mick Dundee.
And the inspiration for Crocodile Dundee, came from Hogan wanting to showcase the Australian outback to the world.
Okay.
Drawing on outback tales and his own experiences.
I see.
He even managed to convince, his future wife, Linda Kozlowski,
Wow.
to co-star with him.
Yeah.
In this cinematic love letter to Australia.
And the film itself was, it was like lightning in a bottle. It was this perfect blend of humor.
Right. And romance and action.
Yeah.
Set against, this stunning backdrop of the outback.
The outback, yeah.
It resonated with audiences like nothing else.
For sure.
Crocodile Dundee became the highest grossing film of 1986 in the U.S.
Wow.
And earned over $300 million.
Globally. Not bad for a bloke from Lightning Ridge.
Not bad at all.
It's almost unbelievable.
Right.
From rigging on the Harbor Bridge to accepting a Golden Globe and an Oscar nomination, Hogan's story is a real testament to, talent and timing.
Yeah.
But he didn't just become a superstar. He became a global ambassador for Australia.
Yeah.
Showing the world a whole other side to the country.
But that global success, that was just the beginning.
Right.
The real story is how Hogan handled what came after Dundee.
Okay.
And that's what we'll explore next.
So, we talked about Hogan's, just meteoric rise.
Right.
But you know how some actors, they seem different off screen.
Right. With Hogan, it was the opposite.
Really?
That genuine Aussie bloke persona that he had, it wasn't an act.
Huh. So it makes it even more interesting to look at the films he made after, Crocodile Dundee,
right.
Crocodile Dundee II, Almost an Angel.
Right.
They were decent films.
Yeah.
But they didn't quite capture, the same spark.
The magic.
Yeah.
It's tough to top a phenomenon, though, isn't it?
It really is.
Crocodile Dundee II tried to, replicate that fish out of water formula.
Right.
But it lacked the freshness of the original.
Yeah.
Suddenly, Hogan's character, he felt, less like a discovery, more like a caricature.
But even if those later films weren't, box office smashes.
Sure.
the piece shows that Hogan was still passionate about, about filmmaking.
Yeah. And it's clear that all that success didn't change his core values. The amount of work he did for children's hospitals and wildlife conservation is incredible.
It really is.
He wasn't just, writing checks.
Right.
Hogan was actively involved.
Okay.
Visiting kids in hospitals dressed as Dundee.
Wow.
Bringing laughter to those, tough situations.
Yeah.
I mean, it really showed a depth of caring.
Right.
That goes way beyond,
Yeah.
simple philanthropy.
That's the thing about Hogan.
Yeah.
Even with all the fame and the fortune, he never lost sight of, what mattered.
What mattered, yeah.
But of course, no life is without its, challenge.
Challenges, yeah.
The piece touches on those public legal battles he faced.
Oh, right.
Mostly surrounding, tax disputes. Can you imagine dealing with that kind of scrutiny and navigating the pressures of, global fame?
It's a side of the story we often forget.
Yeah, for sure.
Behind the laughter and the success, there were real struggles.
Right.
And it makes you wonder how much those experiences, shaped his later decisions.
Speaking of decisions, Hogan's personal life was, from simple.
Right.
He was married twice.
Okay.
First to Noeline Edwards.
Right.
With whom he had 5 kids.
5 kids? Wow.
And that relationship, it went through a lot.
Yeah.
Divorce, remarriage.
Right.
And ultimately a final separation.
Okay.
And then there was his marriage to his Crocodile Dundee co-star.
Oh, wow.
Linda Kozlowski.
Yeah.
And their son.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
The on-screen romance, translating to real life.
Yeah.
But what I found interesting in the piece was how, despite all the, complexities, Hogan always seemed to prioritize family and close relationships.
I see.
It's almost like a reminder that, no matter how high you climb, those personal connections are what keep you grounded.
So we often see celebrities, lose themselves in the whirlwind of fame. Yeah. But Hogan seemed to hold on to, those core values of family and authenticity.
Authenticity, yeah.
So we've covered his childhood, his unexpected rise to fame, the ups and downs of his career, and even a glimpse into, his personal life.
Yeah.
But what about his legacy?
Yeah.
How will Paul Hogan be remembered?
That's where things get, really fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hogan's impact, it goes beyond, entertainment.
Right.
He changed the face of Australian cinema.
Okay.
Proving that Aussie humor, it could captivate a global audience.
Yeah.
And he paved the way for, countless other artists.
Right.
To follow their dreams.
Yeah.
And let's not forget Mick Dundee.
Right.
That character
became,
practically synonymous with the Australian spirit.
The Australian spirit.
A symbol of, rugged charm and this, irreverent wit.
That's true. Even today when people think of Australia, they often picture Mick Dundee.
Yeah.
It's like Hogan managed to capture the essence of the outback and share it with the whole world.
The whole world, yeah.
But beyond the characters and the films,
yeah,
I think his lasting impact is, something bigger.
Absolutely. When they describe Hogan as being, incredibly driven and visionary, I actually kind of have to push back a bit.
Really?
A lot of his choices, post Dundee, they felt reactive. Yeah. Almost like he was, chasing past glory.
Right, right.
But what's really inspiring about Hogan is that he never, compromised who he was.
Yeah.
He achieved this incredible success without sacrificing, his authenticity.
Yeah.
And that's a powerful message, I think, in a world that often pressures us to, conform.
It really makes you think, doesn't it?
It does.
In a way, his journey reflects the spirit of Australia itself. Independent, resilient, always ready to, challenge the status quo.
Absolutely.
But it makes me wonder, with all that he accomplished, did Hogan ever really grasp the impact, that he had on the world?
Yeah.
Did he realize how deeply he touched people's lives. I mean, with his humor, his characters, his genuine Aussie spirit.
That's a great question. Yeah. And it's something we'll dive into in the final part of this deep dive. We'll explore, his later years, his reflections on fame, and what his legacy ultimately means for both Australia and the world.
All right, so we're back. And I'm, still thinking about Hogan's journey. It's amazing how someone can go from, relative obscurity to becoming this household name practically overnight.
Yeah, it really is.
But as we get into this final chapter, the piece kind of paints this picture of Hogan stepping back from the spotlight.
Right.
Choosing to focus more on, family, close friends.
It's a familiar pattern, isn't it? I mean, after reaching those incredible heights, a lot of people in the public eye, they crave a simpler life.
Yeah.
A more private life.
Right.
But Hogan, I mean, he didn't just disappear completely.
Right.
He'd still pop up, every now and then. Interviews, documentaries, always willing to share, his thoughts on his journey, the impact of Crocodile Dundee. And what really struck me was even years later, I mean, that charm and humor, it never seemed to fade.
It's like he was just, wired for genuineness.
Yeah, I think so.
No matter how much time passed, he always had that twinkle in his eye. I wonder, though, did Hogan ever feel, conflicted?
Conflicted.
Yeah, like he was playing a role even when the cameras were off.
The piece kind of hints at this sense of, humility.
Right.
Almost disbelief at his own success.
Yeah.
He often downplayed his achievements, like attributing them to luck or being in the right place at the right time.
Right.
But I think it goes, deeper than that. Hogan, he never let fame inflate his ego.
Right.
At his core, he was still that down-to-earth Aussie bloke.
It's a good reminder that, success doesn't have to change who you are at your core.
Yeah.
And when you think about his whole story, the unconventional past, the global phenomenon of Crocodile Dundee, the challenges he faced, it all just reinforces the importance of, staying true to yourself.
Absolutely. Paul Hogan's legacy, it's multifaceted. He's a cultural icon.
Right.
A comedic genius.
Yeah.
A symbol of the Australian spirit.
Yeah.
He really introduced Australia to the world.
Yeah.
Not just through his films, but, through his genuine personality.
Yeah.
And in a world that, often pressures us to fit in, Hogan's story is like, a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
It shows us that it's okay to be different.
Right.
To forge your own path.
Yeah.
And to never lose sight of, who you truly are.
Beautifully put. So as we wrap up this, deep dive into the life of Paul Hogan, what's the one thing, you hope our listener takes away from his, extraordinary journey?
Well, I think it's the power of authenticity.
Okay.
Hogan's success wasn't just about talent or luck.
Right.
It was about being, unapologetically himself.
Right.
He reminds us that embracing, our individuality, our quirks, our unique perspectives.
Yeah.
That's what really connects us with others.
Yeah.
And leaves a lasting impact.
So to you, dear listener, we say this. Channel your inner Mick Dundee. Embrace your quirks, your passions. And never be afraid to forge your own path. Who knows, you might just surprise yourself and the world.